Welcome back, everybody. 5:38. We've been waiting to hear when I-5 is going to reopen.
And the State Department of Transportation has a news conference. Let's take it live.
For the Washington State Department of Transportation's Olympic region. I can tell commuters that southbound I-5 at Mounts Road in South Pierce County remains closed this morning. We had crews working most of the night to remove all of the remaining rail cars that were either adjacent to or near I-5. Those rail cars have been removed from site and have been relocated. The locomotive that actually came down on southbound I-5 itself has been hoisted with a large crane and will be placed on a large trailer later this morning to be removed from the site. Once that removal takes place, DOT crews will be going into the site and repairing guardrail, repairing damage to pavement that becomes revealed after the locomotive is removed. We also need to remove a hazard tree in the area before we can reopen any lanes of southbound I-5. Yesterday, we also had bridge inspectors come on site. They inspected the rail bridge to ensure its structural integrity. They found that it was structurally sound. There were some cosmetic issues such as loose concrete and exposed rebar that our bridge maintenance crews worked to clear overnight. Traffic is moving well at this point in the morning. I-5 is doing okay. And also the detour routes are also not too bad this morning. Over the last couple of days, we have seen very congested traffic, especially on the state highways to the east of I-5, which would include State Route 7, State Route 702, State Route 510, and State Route 507. Yesterday, that highway was blocked southbound virtually all day long. We are continuing to encourage through traffic to use the detour route of State Route 16 and SR3, which is west of I-5. It is about a 75-mile detour, but it was underutilized yesterday, and everybody went to the east side of I-5, which created 16-mile backups. There remains one lane open through JBLM for southbound I-5 traffic. We ask only local traffic to use that route. It is already at capacity. There's been a lot of questions about how do you define local traffic, and our answer is that if you are a local resident or a local business or have business in that area, feel free to try to use that route. You will expect delays if you try to go that way, just like you will see delays going on any other state route. We would like to thank the traveling public for their understanding through this time. We've had many agencies and people working very hard to try to clear this site so that we can reopen southbound 5 as quickly as possible. You will have another media briefing about 8 a.m. today where they will go into more detail about the operations that occurred overnight and what needs to happen this morning to remove that locomotive.
Is it safe to say I-5 will not be reopened today, given what you guys have?
The question is it safe to say I-5 will not be reopening today? We have fingers crossed. We made a lot of progress yesterday, and the key is getting that locomotive off of I-5. The crane or the trailer that was needed to remove the locomotive arrived yesterday. Overnight, the locomotive was placed on it, and it proved to need more support than what that trailer was able to provide. So additional parts were requested. They did arrive this morning. Since the locomotive is already in a sling and suspended, we have high hopes that we will be able to progress quickly. I do not have an ETA for reopening southbound I-5. It all depends on the progress with that locomotive and what we discover once it's removed off of I-5.
As far as damage to the freeway?
The question is, what damage have we seen so far? We have seen some gouging of pavement on the shoulder. We've seen some minor damage in the mainline lanes. We have quite a bit of guardrail that we need to remove. There's also quite a bit of debris that needs to be cleaned up, and we need to remove that hazard tree. Any other questions?
Are there any train cars left or just
The question is, are there any other train cars left or just the locomotive? All of the passenger cars have been removed. The locomotive is still there, and I am not sure. There was one more locomotive that was on the tracks themselves, and I'm not sure of the status of that one.
Would it be a partial reopening at any point, or would it be a fully reopening as soon as you see the end of
The question is, would this be a partial reopening, or would we reopen all the lanes at one time? We will start opening whatever lane we can as quickly as we can. We understand the hardship that this has placed on motorists on I-5 as well as motorists region-wide, and we will do everything we can to open lanes as quickly as we can, even if it's a sequential opening, as soon as it's safe to do so.
And can you say how many DOT folks have been working on this since Monday?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
The question is, how many DOT folks have been working on here since Monday? That's a kind of a trick question, because a lot of DOT people have been on standby, waiting to get access to the site so we can do our work. This is a little bit of a linear equation in that some things have to happen, i.e. removal of the cars and the locomotive, before we can get in and do our work. We have already pre-staged our crews, our equipment, our supplies, and as sections of roadway have been cleared, we have gone in and done whatever work we could do while waiting for the locomotive to be gone. So we're not waiting for the cranes to be gone before we do our work. We're trying to get in as quickly as we can and sequentially, do work at the same time.
How are your crews doing? Especially with the fact that
The question is, how are our crews doing? We have a job to do, and that's what we're focused on right now. They're very long days, but we are not the only agency involved in this, and a lot of people are working a lot of long hours. We're doing fine. We are taking seriously the concept of safety for our own crews, so there's a lot of focus on crew safety as we do the recovery and cleanup of the site.
So the specialized piece of equipment that's coming in to take the locomotive out, is it coming from outside the area? Do you have any idea where it may be coming from?
The question was, where did the specialized piece of equipment come from? It came out of Oregon, and it is on site. It arrived about a half hour ago. The question is, what kind of equipment? I'm not sure what that is, but at the 8 a.m. briefing, hopefully you'll get an answer to that. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you again in a couple hours.